My guest today is Freddie Kimmel. He is such an inspiring person, all the way from his story that is so profound of discovering just after becoming a Broadway star in his young life, finding out that he had cancer and going through an unbelievable, I called it hellfire of health stuff, even beyond the cancer itself. And then coming into all of the alternative health scene, I guess you'd say, and learning healing modalities that he didn't know about before and trying out new things. And now has become this amazing, he calls himself a wellness concierge because he does a lot of consulting and kind of has his hands in a lot of different pots, so to say, in the health optimization slash biohacking world. And so I first heard Freddie speak at a biohacking conference and I was like, wow, I was so moved. And that was years ago, and I cannot believe that I haven't had him on the show yet. So I'm so excited for him to tell you his story and share just the wisdom that he's gained, whether you got cancer or not, like the wisdom he's gained. There's so many gems in this episode. And we're going to do a part 2 where he's going to get really, really nitty gritty, health nerdy with you on some of these different companies that he's started, helping with. He's the head of innovation for Flowpresso, which is like a lymphatic drainage, full body compression suit. He's on the advisory team for AmpCoil, which is PEMF or pulse electromagnetic field therapy. He works with a red light company. He was also talking about, oh gosh, what did he call it? You'll hear it at the end. It's basically like a way to oxygenate the body through like these nano bubbles in the bath. And it's new to me, so you can hear him talk about that. But we'll talk about all those things on the next episode that he's going to come on soon. So just a heads up on that. But I really wanted to take some time first to introduce you to Freddie and really hear his powerful story of getting healthy. So without further ado, here is Freddie Kimmel. All right, guys, I'm laughing because I just said, ready? And then he said, ready. And then I was like, ready, Freddie, immediately went into
You
my
should have done it.
ready, Freddie? Like you've never, I mean, that's like probably the most common thing that people have said to you. All right, Freddie. I'm
Yes.
so excited to introduce you to my people. I was texting my assistant coach about you before. I'm like, dude, because she's huge biohacker. I'm like, do you
hmm
know Freddie? She's overseas in Spain. I'm like, you know Freddie? She's like, oh wow, no, I don't. I'm like, okay, cool. Because I heard you first speak at a biohacking conference, which
hmm
you're gonna share some of that story today. But because you have your hand in so many different, helping out with different companies and you're a concierge, you say, like kind of
Wellness
consult.
concierge. Yeah, I like that.
Yes.
I'm going with that term now.
Yeah, so I see you all at biohacking conferences, and it's just like I don't know. There's certain people where it's just like a pleasure, like it's like, oh,
Mm.
I love my field, and you're one of those people. So I'm just pumped to introduce you to my peeps today. Thanks for
Oh,
coming
so
on.
honored to be here.
Okay. We were talking before, guys, and I'm like, gosh, there's so much we could talk about. But I want to establish first, I want to introduce Freddie to you because his story of how he got here as this amazing biohacking concierge, wellness concierge, and getting so many certifications and education, and you can speak so well on so many aspects of health optimization. Started with a really powerful experience for you because
Mm.
you were just minding your own business, being this like it's not Broadway, but like
Yeah.
the theater. Yeah, Broadway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Broadway shit, dude. I didn't realize. Okay. Okay. It was Broadway superstar. Like I heard you say you were like you tap dance. So I'm like, oh, I did show choir, Freddie. Sorry, side note. I did show choir in high school, and there were like a couple parts where we had to have taps on our shoes. So I'm
Yeah.
like pre-junior kindergarten level. Like I've tapped for a few minutes on a stage before. So next time I see you, we're gonna tap dance a little bit in
Oh,
our
we're gonna do it. We got to do a dance.
Okay,
We got
so
to do a dance. So we could totally do some choreo. I could teach you something. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I started out that way. I moved to New York City in like 2001, set down my bags. My parents were like, go figure it out, go fail. Go try, I was like, I'm going to be on Broadway. And
wow.
I set down my bags and went to an audition just to see. I'd never been to a professional audition. And this is not normally the way it goes, but I booked my first Broadway tour day one. for Annie Get Your Gun, which is like a Broadway tour, touring the United States for a
Wow.
year. Yeah, it was the Broadway show that had Bernadette Peters and oh God, I'm drawing the blank of the guy.
Wow.
Who is the guy from Dukes of Hazzard? The dark hair, the brunette guy.
I don't know his name.
Oh man. Anyways, so that had just transferred out into a tour, and so we picked that up and went over across
Wow.
the U.S. and I learned the craft of being a professional actor. And I was a good singer. I couldn't dance for shit. So I got back and just started like really like leaning into like every class I could take. I was like, I'm gonna do this because I was a mess in college. I did not apply. I was just like I was a total party. And I realized really quickly, I was like, I'm gonna have to put all in on this. So I went really, really hard.
Mm.
And it was one of those things, just meteoric. Like I just kept getting better jobs and I got my union card. I joined the Actors Equity Union. I started to get these bigger gigs. I had just booked a show at the Kennedy Center. I was going to go perform for the president. Then was going to transfer to Broadway in New York City. It was just so
Wow.
cool to have it happen. And it was just like, I can't,
Hmm.
just it's such a small percentage of the population that does
Right.
that. It's less than less
Right.
than 1%. It's 0.0001%.
Hmm.
And right around that time, I started to have pain in my abdomen and my left testicle, and I just sort of ignored it. I had some other stuff going on in the terrain. I had this mysterious like rheumatoid arthritis and like Lyme-like symptoms almost since I had first got to New York City, but without making this a 2 hour story, I had just sort of taken indomethacin and hydrochloroquine which is Plaquenil. We've heard about that in the pandemic.
Hmm.
Different painkillers, um, just to suppress the pain level. And so that I had this underlying inflammation, which we didn't really know what it was, didn't show up in any labs, but ignored that, ignored the pain in my abdomen. One day I wander into the. Oh my goodness, did you hear that?
No.
Oh, my water bottle hydrogen popped off and hit the ceiling like
Oh
a wine
my
bottle.
gosh.
So funny. Hydrogen. We'll talk about that later on the biohacks. So I'd wandered into, that was such an accent to the story. I'd wandered into the ER and I had a no health insurance. Some nurse at a clinic was like, you probably got an STD, but let me refer you to the hospital. Young 26-year-old guy. I was like, what's wrong with my, you know, groinal area, my crotchal region? Why is there pain down there? I was like, put two and two together. That was probably it. But I went up to St. Luke's, went to the emergency room, and they were like, "Yeah, let's give you some tests. Check me out for every single thing you could do, ultrasounds, CAT scans." And I eventually wind up in a room and have a bunch of team of med students and doctors walk in, and they were like, without talking to me, they were like, "This is a male with advanced testicular cancer." No one had told me. That's how I heard I had cancer.
Oh my gosh.
Shocked, shocked. I mean,
Oh
just,
no.
I grabbed my clothes. I ran out of the room. I had
Oh.
literally like a scared little street animal,
Oh.
petrified. And I immediately called my dad. I got on a plane, and when I got to University of Rochester, which is Strong Memorial Hospital, which is a big cancer teaching hospital in upstate New York, I had surrounded by a team of doctors when I woke up, and they had my charts up on the wall, and they were like, there's cancer here and a
Wow.
tumor surrounding your vena cava running to your heart. There's
Oh.
one surrounding your left kidney. It was not only did you have cancer, but you are full of tumors. And
Mm.
it was one of those moments where it's just like, I don't remember anything else. I was just kind of nodding and going along with everything. It felt so surreal. I was like, wait, no, I'm supposed to be. Sorry, doctor. Wait, I'm have a big show coming up. It's like 2 months. Like, how are we
Wow.
gonna? How do we deal with this before the show starts? And he was like, bro, you should
Wow.
clear your calendar for the next year, and we're gonna figure out how to save your life from this. This is really serious. So I really had to quickly to set down this dream. Right, you were not pulling this out of my hands. I had to let go of it.
Mm.
And yeah, I wrestled with that for a little bit, but eventually I did. I did they were like, you're gonna do as much chemotherapy as the body can take. Hopefully that's gone. We got done with 4 rounds of like 5 hours a day, 5 days in a row of infusions, where I would just be roached by the end, and I got progressively went from a normal looking human being to the end. Have you seen E.T.?
Yeah, of course.
When E.T.'s like gets lost in the woods in the end, and he's in
Yeah.
the river, and he's
Yeah.
just this like
Yeah.
white shriveled. That was me. I looked
Mm.
like not the same human being. I mean, totally like it was really wild in retrospect to see how much the body changes and a young body. And I was very in shape. I was like, had like a 12 pack at the time. I was like dancing every day and I was just ripped. So I thought I was so healthy. And then just see after chemotherapy, it was not gone. So they literally did the surgery where they opened my chest, cut
Mm.
pelvis to sternum, take out all your digestive organs. Your lymph nodes lay within there's a large section of the body that's serviced through the lymphatic system deep within the peritoneum, and it
Mm.
lays along the inside of that cavitation in the belly. They cut out all those lymph nodes, and there's like 80 surgical clips in there. Staple it back up, and that was the point where they're like, okay, you're good, you're cancer free. After basically not even a year of treatment. And, in my head, I was like, okay, this is where I go back to New York. I start doing theater again. I write a book. I'm going to be on Oprah. This is going to be great. I'm
Yeah.
going to advocate for young guys to be more aware of their health.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then this whole time, I'm like double fisting Egg McMuffin sandwiches on the way to the hospital. And in no time did anybody say, in fact, they were like, you did not, there's no lifestyle thing that you did to get this cancer. You did nothing wrong. Just do what you're doing. Diet doesn't matter. Again, serving you candy and Cokes while you're getting your chemo. They're coming around with a candy tray and the sodas and whatnot. The Ensure protein shakes. They're just handing out these, high fructose corn syrup drinks in the hospital. Um, and after my all this treatment, my body started to like have these wild responses to scar tissue. I started to form all these adhesions in my belly, and
Mm.
so I'd be eating and I'd turn to like get something off the table, and my intestine would twist. I'd have a partial or complete obstruction, and I would
Mm.
start vomiting for 3 days, like,
Mm.
and I mean blackout pain. I
Mm.
mean, get in an ambulance or somebody's driving me to the hospital,
Mm.
vomiting, like
Wow.
screaming in pain. Had to get morphine, and it either releases in 3 days or they
Wow.
open you up. They take out the piece of intestine that it twisted, stitch you back together. And so that was like 2007 to 2015. I was like 5 surgeries in. So they're just opening and opening and opening.
Damn.
And in the middle of that, full blown Lyme disease, full blown, I bought a house. I got in a house with like black mold in it in the midst of this. It was just like ridiculous, le
Hellfire.
hellfire. I'm not walking through the valley of death. I'm totally building a condo there. I'm gonna hang out here for a while and just
Oh,
feel the fire.
so
And
many
so
years.
so many years.
Jeez.
It was not quick. And I'd say I had this big turning point. I had this big turning point. Really, I had this humbling point where I like taken to my knees and I was like, I don't want to live like this anymore. God, if we can come up with some sort of agreement where I can like be normal again and I can not live in pain, I can eat food and I can poop and I can not be like living in chronic fatigue, I'll totally be a lighthouse for other people. And Ryder, I literally sort of had this, you sort of ask for something from the universe. And I think if you ask for it in the right way, in the right context, and you're humbled enough, I think starts to turn around. And I found functional medicine. I got certified in through. Funny enough, I started out with personal training because I was like in so much pain. I was like, how do I, how do I get out of this pain? International Sports Science Association, and then rolled into Institute of Functional Health Coaching and got that certification. Started to teach, started to coach, became part of that institute and helped run the institute, then rolled in things like University of Colorado as a gut health expert, did studying with the Human Genome Project, went
Mm.
over and eventually went to the Marion Institute of Biological Medicine. And so I found some mentors in the world of bioregulatory medicine. And really, it's like the body can heal the regulatory systems within the body. What do those look like? Why are they offline? Why is the body not repairing
Mm.
these proteins? Why is it in a state of chronic homeostasis that is a new low, a new normal, which is just
Mm.
burnout? Why is that? And the ideology of the thought process, it's like you at one time you were well, your body knew how to do this. What happened? What changed?
Mm,
surgeries, environmental burden,
right.
toxicity, stress, trauma. He grew up next to a pesticide plant, whatever it was,
Hmm.
so and just started to as I started to apply these things, I've just gotten better and better and more functional and more creative and more energetic. And not only has my health improved over the years, but my ability to be a voice for other people, my advocacy, the idea that now I can like do a full-time podcast and consult different wellness technologies and help people out as a wellness concierge when they're feeling lost. They want to be connected with the right primary care platform. I have everything I could ever have dreamed of in that moment when I was like, please, please, please help me. Like if you had shown me now where I'm at, it'd be like, whoa, dude, that's way too much. It's just come. I'm just very, very grateful, very, very grateful. And the only thing I'll just add to that, and we can jump off into tech, is that I had these wild pivots sometimes from chronic pain where I had brought in a technology that was amplifying a biological pathway. And the one example I'll use is like AmpCoil, which is a PEMF device, which also utilizes sound therapy. And I bought this thing sight unseen. It's at the time it was like an $11,000 tool, but I had heard the founders talking on, I think the Good Health Guy podcast on YouTube. I literally got off the Stairmaster, went to the corner of gym, and I pulled out a credit card and bought it. I did not have the money for it, but they talked about the idea that a cell has a certain voltage, and if you can get that voltage enough, and the body can take that excess surplus energy and start to repair damaged tissue. And I'm like, me.
Right.
And I just started using this thing every single day for like an hour and a half a day, and just had the scar tissue, the adhesions, that those episodes of the obstructions, they really like stopped. It really stopped. And I really have to attribute that to that one therapy. And, to not be in those emergency situations or those wild vomiting episodes. I mean, what's that worth? $10
Mm-hmm.
million? I don't know. I can't put a price on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is
Mm.
no price on it. So I had some wild experiences, and so the
Mm.
for me the biohacking, there was no bulletproof at this time. There was no
Mhm.
there was no there was there were word for biohacking was like
Right.
fringe, very very fringe
Fringe health.
people, fringe
Fringe, edgy health nerds.
health nerds that were like super woo woo, and some of it was just total crap and some of it was
Mhm.
amazing. But I was lucky enough to find some stuff that really worked for me, that now, funny enough, everything that was woo is now an FDA approved technology. Everything that I use, from the light to the pulse magnetics to
Wow.
lymphatic drainage, now it's very much, it's a medical device. Yeah, it works.
Nice.
Even now using, different frequencies to shatter cancer cells is it like, well, you'll see this, different incarnations, which has been done for 40 years, 50, more than that, if you go all the way back to Royal Rife. But they're now using different resonant frequencies, different temperature differentials to neutralize and stop tumors from growing and shattering cancer cells. And while it's in infancy, you're going to see this one come forward, and eventually this will be, oh yeah, But to have the conversation way before it was accepted, or,
Mm-hmm.
as a fringe thinker, it's a really interesting place to be. So I'm always
Mm-hmm.
very like open when I hear about
Mm-hmm.
something new. I was like, who knows? Could be.
Right, right, right. Wow. Okay. Let me back up. So wait,
I
so
know. I
when
talked a long
you
time.
no, 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 that was amazing. I just wanted to ask about this part where they're like, okay, you're cancer free. Like, did you end up going, because did you end up going back to Broadway, or was that like chapter of your life completely over?
No, this whole time, all these surgeries from like
Uh-huh.
2012 to 2000 and like 15, I was in and out of shows.
Oh my gosh.
I was making my living doing music theater in
Uh-huh.
incredible pain, still singing and dancing, but
Jeez.
in and out of, you know, be down for the count for 2 or 3 months. Freddie went back into the emergency room, and then I'm back in a show. Yeah, I limped along. It was rough. I was not happy. I was in a lot of pain, and
Mm.
it's, I was not. a park and bark. They say they call it people who just sang park and bark. It's not really a thing anymore. But you got to do everything now. But there were like these park and bark rolls. I was like dancing and lifting women above my head, and they're doing cartwheels over my shoulder and doing
Oh, I'm
catches
like,
and
what is
lifts and
park and bark? Okay.
park and bark. You just stand there and sing. It was like they used to have like singer tracks, and then there was a dancer track. And
Oh.
people are just so talented and so skilled. People like they twirl and
Mm,
spin and they can do
mm.
aerial and cartwheel and then they can do like they're legit opera singers. It's unreal how
Wow.
talented people are. It's unreal.
It's
It's
all these
wild.
way showers, bridge makers, like they just keep things just keep getting more and more like, well, they did that. Can we do this? And everyone just keeps building off
Yeah.
each other, just like professional sports are that
Oh
way.
yeah, same.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly like
Yeah.
skateboarding. Or snowboarding. What you used to do on like the X Games, like PlayStation game, which was a
Right.
stupid. You're like, oh, people can't do it like a
R-
1980 rotation.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
they do
yeah.
it or more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, wow. Yeah, which is kind of like what you're saying with like all of our health advances too. It's like, whatever, can't do that. And it's like, actually,
yeah. If you
give it
can
some
if you can
time.
visualize it and you can dream it and someone can see it, as an example, I think even in
Mm-hmm.
a video game, the brain's like, well, I'll figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
really wild. There's a lot of that'd be a great podcast. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
industries where that's happened,
Mm-hmm.
where
Mm-hmm.
someone saw something in a book. That's
Mm-hmm.
like, start
Mm-hmm.
the thing like a tricorder in Star Trek. Well, we
Mm-hmm.
we invented cell phones.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
I do like a visualization practice every morning, like with whatever my most important goal. Maybe it's something small, maybe it's something big. I visualize for 1 minute because it's so powerful. And you start to build all these positive emotional states with that thing. Like you get excited and you like, feel joy and then that drives you closer to that. So I'm a big fan. Okay, let me ask you this. So I know the nutrition piece came in for you, and I want to hang on this just real quick too, because I think it's really powerful for people to hear. Because now me hearing about you getting this AmpCoil, you're like doing these deeper methodologies to bring your body into deeper homeostasis,
Hmm.
right? And because you had this extra thing, like they pulled all your intestines out of your body, like these are like severe physical traumas for your internal systems, right? And so, like, you're going to need something more than just a nutrition approach. You're going to need something more powerful like that, that's like really encouraging this homeostasis to prevent that
Hmm.
from happening over and over, right? But
Yeah.
nutrition, because like when I hear you saying, I mean, really, like Lyme disease, animal, like, come on, man. But that's okay because now you've found solutions, and it probably brings you a lot of joy to be able to share some of those solutions. But that really sucks. So I want to hear about this part. Like, you started having these autoimmune type condition symptoms a little bit here and there, and then
Hmm.
it started to get worse and worse. And can you talk about like the role that nutrition or anything else, like, if you had big shifts in sleep or, some of your other approaches that really helped you
Yeah.
get to the other side
Yeah.
of that?
Yeah. It's funny. I had a couple doctors, I remember going into office and be like, hey, and I had shifted everything with my food and I was still not doing well. And
Mm,
I was like, I'm doing this and that and that. And I had so many doctors like, honestly, like you've had so much shit happen to you. It's like
mhm,
food is not going to heal you. Like I love that that's in, some of these different um patient heal thyself and different
mhm,
literary works of art. They're like that
mhm.
food ain't, you're going to need more food, bro.
It's not gonna be
I don't
enough. You're right.
Yeah, and a lot of people. It doesn't mean you throw away the food, but a
Mhm,
lot of doctors say that. And I saw like,
mm,
most of the people now that have like lots of books and that are the big people online. Like I saw them when they had clinics in New York and stuff, and some really great experiences, some really horrific. Uh, I'm not going to name any names because it's high vibe here on this moment. Um, but I really. Yeah, it's just amazing our world. If again, not to digress, but I wish we could. Oh, I wish we could do what we're doing and just pull a little of the marketing out. It's more and it's harder and harder just to make heads or tails of what's true or valid.
Mm.
Um, maybe we can touch back on that if you remind me. I had read a book about a woman who had broken like 60 bones in a car accident, and she had went on the paleo diet, and she was like pain free. And I think it was 2009. I was away doing a production down in North Carolina. I was doing a show. I was in a lot of pain. I was tap dancing in a show, big tap dance show. And I read this book. I was like, I can do that. And there's, you do a shopping trip when you go to a show, you buy all your groceries. Um, your first grocery run with a cast, it's always like a really fun trip because like meet and greet and you're buying like, oh, what are you getting? But you kind of making your friends.
Mm.
And I bought all my groceries and I threw them all away. And I was like, I'm going back. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna do this
Wow.
paleo thing, 2009. And I had just bought all, it was really hard to do. It wasn't hard. And, there was no gluten free. There was no like
Right.
healthy alternative that didn't exist. You just went and
Paleo
got,
wraps, paleo treats,
no, no, no,
it's
none
literally on
of
the
that.
package.
None of that. It was really hard. I remember
Right.
I'm like, I'm like wrapping turkey and lettuce and peppers in a wrap or whatever I was doing. But I had a pretty significant reduction in pain. I think
Mm.
it went from like a 10 down to like a 6 or a 5.
Okay.
And I was able to like cut some of like the indomethacin that I was periodically taking for pain
Okay.
down. It was pretty noticeable. I was
Mhm.
hooked. I was like, wow,
Mhm.
this isn't the whole picture, but this is something right here.
Mhm.
Nobody ever told me this. They were like, my next step was like a mexitrethaid or a really powerful immune modifier. Um, really, really wild. But that was a huge shift, and I just kept going deeper and deeper in that. Now, I will say in retrospect, I probably did myself a disservice and amplified the time of recovery because my food pyramid went from like this
Mhm.
and it kept going down and down and down. And I got to a point where I was having these food sensitivities to like the dust on like organic nuts or like
Mm.
chicken sometimes. I'm like, why am I
Mm.
getting a response from chicken? I mean, I got so what is it? Is it orthorexia? Yeah. When
Mhm.
you're just so like,
Right.
I was so neurotic about my
Right.
food and what I would eat and the quality. And I remember going around Whole Foods like with my girlfriend at the time, just crying because I was just, the Whole Foods bar had like seed oils on everything and like nothing was really clean. I'm like, God, I just can't.
Mhm.
You'd be like go to Boston on like a trip for a show and you're like, I'm so hungry. I can't find anything that won't make me have these
Mhm.
inflammatory responses, chronic inflammatory response syndrome or cell danger response or
Mhm.
histamine reaction, whatever you want to call it. My immune
Mhm.
system, I got to a point where the food changes have been beneficial, but I had probably like desecrated my microbiome um, because there's no variety. The
Mm.
microbiome loves variety. We should eat
Right.
a variety of
Right.
different carbohydrates and different proteins and yada yada yada. So
Mhm.
in retrospect, I had probably done that to myself. Also, I was on antibiotics for 3 years, high
Wow.
dose for Lyme disease,
Wow.
um, 3 years straight.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had done some good damage there. Um, so it's funny, I had great benefit from food, and now I will tell you now today to come full circle. I can eat so much more. I have my thing, right? I'm watching it, right? But
Mhm.
I've been able to reestablish to a really good degree diversity in the microbiome. Diversity is always going to be king throughout many magnifying glasses in life, many sandboxes in life. Diversity is like really
Mhm.
helpful.
Mhm.
Certainly within the microbiome
Mhm.
and that's helped me to be a little more resilient, a little more. I can go out to a Mexican food restaurant. I can eat chips and not worry about like
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
I can go have a
Mhm.
margarita. Great.
Mhm.
Go have some tequila. Go have a whiskey if I want once in a while. I'm pretty like it's pretty great. So
Mhm.
that's kind of come full circle.
Mhm.
Nutrition, but I kind of look at every time we eat, we have the opportunity to like build the machine or we can take a little hit. Neither
Yeah,
is
right.
wrong.
Right.
Neither is wrong. If your
Right.
psyche is like in a place of joy and you're around friends and you're having guacamole and like, masa chips and a cocktail, I think you should do the joy, the measurable benefit of joy within the human terrain. It's just like, you want to talk about medicine, choose joy every time. Again, meet your body where you're at. But I think that's just such a valuable lesson for me personally, because I can just get so hyper fixated. I'm a type A. If you tell me to do something, I'm going to be 2000% compliant, and that is not necessarily in alignment with,
Mhm.
we're sort of, I think I believe we're designed to eat, sleep, play, make love, be creative, find purpose. But
Mhm.
being little unconscious capitalists is not always in alignment with healing as far as like a nervous system vibration,
Mhm.
right? Like
Mhm.
the
Yep.
I
Yep.
just talk to so many people. I get to talk to so many people
I
behind
know
the scenes
exactly
that
what
are
you're
like,
saying. I
this
know
is all you
exactly
need
what
to
you're
do. And I'm
saying.
like, you're an absolute mess.
Yeah.
I watch you, or I've walked up to people at shows that, all these conventions that we get to go to, and we get to meet all these people and scientists and inventors and authors. And you're like, your hand, you could not, you'd spill coffee out of a cup right now if you were trying to hold a cup with a hand. You have like a wild tremor. Your nervous system is not on
Mm.
point. So we try to do
Mm.
these things to like whether find purpose or value a place in the modern world. And I think there's a lot of times there's a toll with that. If you're not understanding, like, again, what is the big picture?
Mm.
There's nothing
Mhm.
comes great without great sacrifice. So you might have to sacrifice some of your social schedule and calendar, or you want to take over the world of wellness, and you might have to like take 2 months in the jungle now to balance that out, or
Right.
2 years in rural Hawaii, whatever you need to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I really appreciate that perspective. I think there's a lot of people who can resonate with what you just said in terms of being sick, and then they find like, oh my gosh, when I change my nutrition like this and I clean up my diet, then I don't get all these symptoms, and that can quickly. It's like part of it is fair, like that almost orthorexic like moment in time, right? It's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like, and you're having to change all these patterns, so you have to become
Yeah.
completely aware of what's in everything. Like, it's really understandable, honestly. And
Mm-hmm.
I love that you're also sharing, like, yeah, and then I got to a point where I was able to, like, respect that that was a healthy part of your journey in a way, like you kind of
Mm-hmm.
needed to be a bit hyper fixated, but not stay there forever. It's kind of like how I see
Mm.
keto and stuff. Like, dude, if you have massive metabolic dysfunction and metabolic disease, like basically, like you're, high triglycerides, obese,
Mm-hmm.
diabetic, like all that, like you need a more intense approach. Like you're not going to be successful just like try to eat healthy. Like that's not going to work
Mm-hmm.
for you. We got to go deeper. We got to do, some deep, deep medicine
Mm.
here with food. And yeah, it can make you want to stay keto for it because you're like, my life got so much better when I did this. I have to be in this extreme forever. And you're like, so it's understandable, right? And it's probably
Mm.
perfect for the time being. But I just want to say I really appreciate you sharing, like, and you get to a point where like it doesn't have to be like that
Mm.
more
Mm-hmm.
so intense. And I 100%, the last episode I just recorded was about nutrition. So if anyone listened to that, that's what I was trying to say is like it's my very first counsel on nutrition is like it's not about whether the food is good or bad or whether made a good choice or a bad choice. It's just what is going to happen on the inside of my body as a result
Mm-hmm.
of that choice, and make sure you don't make it up. You can make it up,
Mm.
a la Bruce Lipton and biology of belief. Like sometimes it's like clean slate that stuff. Just because you may have gotten an issue with corn previously, it doesn't mean, years
Mm.
down the road, or like, do you even know if you have an issue with corn, or did you just hear corn was inflammatory and now
Mm.
you believe corn isn't? It could be for you, it could not be, but
Mm.
I love hearing that you kind of got into this place of like recognizing that, yeah, if I can choose joy, if maybe my body's ready for some chips and guacamole now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus
Yeah.
staying in that extreme place forever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's understandable. I think a lot of people can relate to that. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying anybody, should go one way or the other or anything like that. I just think it's a nice piece of wisdom, especially in like the health optimization, alternative medicine, or, this space that we kind of lie in where a lot of people
Yeah.
are making big changes because they are very sick. So
Yeah.
yeah, appreciate
Yeah.
you just kind of sharing that.
And it all, life and our planet and this solar system and the seasons, everything's on a rhythm. Health is on a rhythm.
Hmm.
You're never going to lock in a diet for life. That's my experience. And it's
Hmm.
just, I watch this with people, though you will get to a point where what you're doing doesn't serve you anymore. This is
Yes.
exercise. This is
Yes.
your relationship dynamic, your meditation, your gym practice. You're
Yep.
gonna want to evolve,
Yep.
and look at the different seasons of life.
Hmm.
That's the way it happens. I mean, look at a tree does not fruit for 4 seasons. And
Hmm.
I think within our culture, we always want to be giving fruit. I'm like, no, dude, it's time to hibernate.
Hmm. Hmm.
Time to be on the couch with Netflix.
Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
get low, or whatever.
Yep.
Whatever you want to do. But there's a
Yep.
benefit to doing that. And I've heard too many stories of people being like, you know what I did for 3 months? I like laid on the couch and I ate ice cream and I watched the whole series of Game of Thrones and Seinfeld. And I felt amazing afterwards. And I was like, that's so awesome. You
Hmm.
could just totally, whatever that checkout. It could also be on an island with no
Hmm.
television and just be in the rhythm of nature. But for some
Hmm.
people, for their psyche, they're going to want to choose the couch and Netflix, and I think that's fine. I think
Hmm.
it's fine, especially when I have been pushing it so hard for the last 6 months personally that I am totally in a place where it's like I just need I need to do like 2 things a day.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
it.
Hmm. Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's I will overproduce, and
Hmm.
I'll watch myself. I could easily see a road to sickness again.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that about the seasons of life. I used to be a marathon runner, super into marathoning, running, love
Yeah.
it. I like I don't run anymore. I
Yeah.
I went for one run since I've lived in
Mm.
Hawaii, one run outside, and I was like, man, I'm good at this. Oh, I remember this feeling. Like I picked right up at my old pace. I'm running like a 6.5 minute mile
Oh,
for
wow.
3 miles. Just I'm like, come on, man, I'm good at this shit. Or maybe it was like seven. Somewhere. I'm usually in that 6.5 to 7. But it was like
Wow.
I was like, wow, I'm surprised I'm still as fast. Go me. And it's fun, but also intuitively, my body is just like, we don't want to go in. For me personally, everybody can do what they want, but for me, it's like I just when I lean into thinking about like becoming a runner again, my body's just like, like that. Even though I
Mm.
like it, I actually like running. A lot of people hate running. Like I love running, and I feel like I'm naturally good at running. But when I lean into thinking about that as like a life phase, my body's like,
Mm-hmm.
please, please, just the walking and lifting weights is amazing, enjoy, but like, please don't go that route. And I
Yeah.
honor that.
Yeah.
And
That's
just like
great.
I intermittent fast right now, I seriously doubt I'm going to intermittent fast forever. I don't know. I haven't hit
Mm-hmm.
menopause yet. I have a feeling I probably that won't be the best. It could be. I don't know. I'll cross
Mm.
that bridge when I get there. But I think it's really and even with lifting weights, maybe the way I go about that changes. So anyway, just sharing. I agree with you, and
Yeah.
I think it's an important, really important thing to honor, as well as consistent rest and even more rest when you've had a big
Even more
go
rest.
go period. Like it's just like we were talking about with like keto,
Hmm.
if you've had a big stressful, you need more rest. And
Yeah.
then as a, consistent thing, rest needs to be prioritized if your body's going to
Yeah.
work right.
And yeah, and it's never the what, right? It's the how and the why. Because it's like how we frame these things that is going to be whether it's going to be a big takeaway energetically or it's going to be medicine.
Right.
It's like how you frame the experience for yourself. That I'm such a big language person. When I'm listening to
Mm-hmm.
people or consulting, I'm like, I listen to people tell me like what they have or what the problem is, or I have the
Mm-hmm.
MTHFR and I can't be in parasympathetic and I can't. I'm like, whew, God, that's
Mm-hmm.
heavy. And
Mm-hmm.
so words are spells. With my
Mhm,
abracadabra, with my words, I do create.
mhm,
And so I can hear it. I'm like, wow, that's so within your uh I can feel that within your physical field right now. Do you want to,
right.
are you interested in letting go of that? Because a lot of times it's just, I'll start with language, how we're going to do
Mhm,
something. I also see this in our space and like the way, and I don't know, I've been really like, it's easy to like, again, there's so many voices in the space. So I'm always listening to the voices and I'm witnessing and I'm like, why does that trigger me so much when like,
Mhm.
female sports physiologist expert says ice is good for women or it's bad for women or women should not fast or I'm like,
I got triggered too. I know exactly what you're talking about. And to the point I had to started to write the comment like, Tara, just breathe,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
breathe.
yeah, 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 yeah. Not you. She didn't post that shit. It's her. But here's the thing: she didn't post it. It's her team, and
Uh-huh.
one thing it serves, it's definitely polarizing because it's
Mhm.
making a statement where people can either be attracted or pull away from.
Mhm.
It's just like a car accident. That's why I see
Mhm.
people stop and gawk. So there's a
Mhm.
technique to that. The
Mhm.
biggest biohacking conference in the world.
Mhm.
That guy is great at that too. He's like to
Mhm.
say this is bad and then people get really angry, but there's
Mhm.
eyes on the post and there's
Right.
engagement. So it's a marketing technique.
Mhm.
But I'm going to tell you right now, for thousands of years, we woke up and we didn't have an ice box to grab breakfast from. Didn't happen. And I mean hundreds of thousands of years.
Right.
So the idea within the last when there was a refrigerator was invented in like 1918.
Okay.
So hello, I'm sorry. You didn't have it. You didn't have breakfast. You went out to the farm, you got the eggs, or whatever, or for the greater part of human development, hundreds
Mhm.
of thousands of years, which your biology has not changed, your genetics have not changed, hasn't changed, not even like 1%, that we just didn't have it. You'd be days without food. So everybody fasted. Again, I go back to the rhythm. Life is a rhythm. There would be times
Mhm.
without food, long
Mhm.
times without food. It's not
Mhm.
about doing a fast to put a notch in your belt. It was part of the process of the rhythm of life to go
Mhm.
without. Herds moved, crops waned. Not even
Mhm.
crops. Let's go hunter gatherer for the majority before we started modern farming. It's part of your biology to do
Mhm.
it. So I just think, and then we have to balance it with the constraints of modern life. We're unconscious little capitalists on a schedule of output. So we do need that farmed system of food coming in so you can output. And all I'm doing is saying, challenge yourself. There's multiple realities and truths going on. We can't make a statement that fasting is good or bad. We can't make a statement that
Mhm.
ice is good or bad. It will
Right.
always be contextual. Who is the person? What's the scenario? Where are they at
Exactly.
in life? What do they need? Maybe they need to do that. Maybe they need to be slapped up the side of the face with freezing ice water.
That's exactly what I was gonna comment. I'm like, you can't just say it that generally with one piece of information. Like, tell me more about this person. Like,
Yeah.
but I was like, I don't need to. It's
No.
rage bait. Rage bait.
No. And I'm certainly as a man, I'm not going to comment on women physiology in this temperament. And I'm like, oh, that's all they need is like Freddie Kimmel is like, oh, a white cis male commenting on my biology. Hell no, I'm not going to put myself out there like that. But I will
Oh
have a conversation if
gosh.
people want to have the full conversation. I will give you examples. I will show you case studies. And not only case studies, but let's look at different people with like metastatic cancer and how ice has had an impact in
Right.
their tumor progression.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then
Yeah.
do you want to talk to me about how women should do it? I don't think
Mhm.
so.
Right. You made a
Anyways,
you made a really powerful statement in passing just a bit ago saying like I wish we could just take the marketing out of it. Right. And
yeah.
I think about that all the time. I have had to do a lot of mindset work. Like I'm talking with coaches, with like marketing. It's like it triggers the freak out of me. It's like it feels sleazy. It feels like people are like manipulating people. Like, what's your pain
Mm.
point? Let's find their pain point, and then let's like scare them a little bit and make them think about all the bad things that'll happen if they don't buy my stuff. And then let's give them
Yeah.
the solution. And then again, let them see how bad. And I'm just like, ugh, like this whole energy is so gross, you know? And
Yeah.
the only thing that has helped me get in a good place with quote unquote marketing is communication. I'm like, that's how I frame it in my mind. It's just communicating well to people with integrity, with honesty,
Hmm.
but also being able to communicate well what you can do for them, how you see things. I'm like, okay, that I can get down with. But, I've thought about that so much. It's like, I mean, I guess to Western medicine's credit, I mean, they do have the pharmaceutical ads, but imagine if like they were advertising like, different surgeons are like, this is why I'm better at the hospital.
Hmm.
And it's like a little
Hmm. Hmm.
weird, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, I know we're out of time. Will you do a part two, first of all?
100%.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And so it just in the like the last minute or two, let's give them a teaser, okay? Can
Yeah.
you talk about some of the different companies in the biohacking or health optimization
Yeah.
space and like what we could talk about next that might be cool for them?
Oh, there's so much great stuff. So I'd say I sort of I had laid the groundwork for this and I talked too much. We ran out of time.
Me
The,
too. It was
the,
awesome though.
the biology, human physiology, you have a biological pathway that's going to repair a protein, that's going to remove garbage from the system, from the intracellular matrix. You have a regulatory system that's going to go off and it's going to kill a cancer cell. Regulatory system that's going to drain garbage in the brain. Um, Technology comes in, it's amplifying a pathway. That's the only reason why technology works. It's not doing magic. The body is the healing mechanism.
Hmm.
And so I think that's very liberating and empowering. So how do I want to bring in technology to amplify those pathways? So things like Flowpresso, which is a full body lymphatic drainage suit. It's like a space suit with infrared heat and pneumatic pressure, puts the body in deep parasympathetic, but it also helps to drain fluid from the body because what is it? 2/3 of the body should be in the cell. 1/3 should be in the in the cellular tissues. That ratio gets off, and all of a sudden the cell can't let go of garbage. It can't take in those fancy vitamin infusions you're taking. The body's it's holding this environmental toxicity. So, amplifying drainage pathways is
I
a way
want
to, yeah,
I just want to say we're going to hang on this, guys, because you are so knowledgeable about the lymphatic system. And it's so underrated. So I just want to say, if you listen to the next episode of Freddie, we're going to go all
we're gonna
into
go on
the
lymph.
lymphatic system. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
And people are like, oh, I don't, why would I do that? Do I need that?
right.
It's your whole immune system. Your NK killer cells are born in a lymph node, all of them. Your B cells, your
Mhm.
T cells. T
Mhm.
cells are born in a lymph node, they develop in the thymus. B cells are born in a lymph node, they develop in the bones. It's all your macrophages. So
Mhm.
everything moves through lymph, and just like a little Target employee targeting like they're scanning things on the shelves to say, "Oh, that's toilet paper, that's a garbage bag." Your immune system saying, "That's a virus, that's cancer, that's bacteria." And without the flow, your immune system it's like sluggish. It's a sluggish employee. So you want movement throughout lymph, and there's ways the body can complement this. But most people, that intracellular extracellular fluid ratio is way off.
Mhm.
So baseline, right? 70% of Americans are dehydrated. So you've got a crinkled up dried
Right.
cell and you're not moving your lymph to let go of
Right.
garbage. You have a perfect roadmap to cancer and chronic illness and
Mhm.
metabolic dysfunction.
Mhm. And
100%. That's a
you're getting like 2,000 steps a day and like you're barely moving.
all of it, all of
Right.
it. So that's massive. The other thing that I'll tease, we talked about AmpCoil, pulsed electromagnetic field.
Mhm.
We're always indoors. I'm wearing rubber shoes. I'm in a car with rubber tires. I'm never in connection with the earth. So we have this
Right.
cellular voltage, this charge that comes from the planet, which is that we say the Schumann resonance is like it's an average of all the frequencies that are coming from the planet, which is a magnet, an oscillating magnetic field. And now we can get this hormetic dose from something like a coil or a PEMF device or Pulse Centers of America or whatever device you want to use.
Mhm.
But immediately when the red blood cells are exposed to that charge, they increase their electricity, their transmembrane potential. The cell's breathing, it's dumping garbage, microcirculation. It's all of a sudden the red blood cells are just pushing each other away because they have a net negative charge on the outside. So you're immediately stimulating microcirculation immediately. So think about the population that is not mobile, that can't move. The big missed opportunity is to bring these technologies into a nursing home.
Mhm.
My last quarter of life, this is where these technologies actually belong. The stuff that you teach, Tara, the lifestyle things and the movement and the muscle and the physiology and the breath work. We should not always, I don't think we should need these in
Mhm.
the earlier phases of life. Would we to have a really good like health matrix?
Mhm.
Like, what are we investing in every day? And then
Mhm.
there's really cool tech that I haven't even talked about on a podcast yet that is have you heard of nano bubbled oxygen?
Nano bubbled oxygen?
Yeah.
I have not.
Imagine an oxygen bubble that could be like 2,500 times smaller than a normal bubble that you could sit in a warm bath and absorb oxygen. So you would not have to do a hyperbaric chamber, but you could get
What?
a similar oxygenation of the tissue and recovery in a warm bath. Doesn't that sound
Wow.
good?
I'm very curious. Yeah. So you're going to tell us all about that?
All that about that,
All
all
right.
the things.
Cool.
So
Interesting.
I'm
Interesting.
always I'm always like, what is the tech
Yeah.
that is, oxygenation is big and not
Hmm.
only the longevity field and extension of life, but also in oncology, cancer, Lyme disease, chronic mold,
Right.
right? We think about all the things that make the nervous system scared and small. We get something that disrupt metabolic function like mold or a spirochete or a chronic infection. And then one of the ways to make the body feel better is to oxygenate tissue. And whether that's a hyperbaric chamber, which is sort of really, I love it. It's very clunky. It's a big time suck and it's big. It's not going to fit in everybody's home and the price
Right.
point. So
Right.
some therapies, or what about CO2 tolerance? What about a CO2 rebreather? Where you're actually training CO2 tolerance. And so you're priming the stage for the
Right.
oxygen or the red blood cell to deliver more on its
Right.
after a 20-minute session. There's other ways to do it. Exercise,
Right.
EWA, exercise with oxygen therapy, with
Hmm.
a elevation differential. So you're going
Yeah.
high and low
Yeah.
hypoxic states to
Yeah.
boost oxygen and use your lungs to boost it through.
Hmm.
Way better price point than a hyperbaric, different,
Right.
different outcome. But we've got
And
so
more
many,
accessible, the accessibility
way
piece.
more
We just had an
accessible.
interview with Jason Saunders, and he's so great, and they're great, but I'm like, bro, the accessibility piece is rough
It's
right now.
rough.
He's like, we're working on it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
But
rough. It's rough.
but it
It could scale. It just needs it needs a visionary.
yeah.
But for most people, again, I'm gonna go back to like the house of cards that our American dollar is built on. I mean, that finance impacts health. Most people don't have $1,000. It's like 60% of Americans don't have $1,000 on the credit card. They ain't thinking about no hyperbaric chamber. They aren't
Right.
thinking about the 40 sessions that it would take to have a
Right.
biological value or
Right.
the time.
Right.
The hour and a half in a chamber means 30 minutes there. You're inflating the chamber. Then you got
Right.
another 30 minutes home. You have
Right.
4 extra hours and 250 extra dollars in your day.
Right. Right.
Doesn't scale. So we
Right.
got to but this is where we have agency today, right?
Yeah.
Learn how to breathe. Use a breathe right strip. Use a nasal expander. Do breath work. We have some great options. The
Mm-hmm.
self-care stuff is really the gold. That scales
Hmm.
today.
Or like the Boss Rutan O2 trainer things. I used to do
Yep.
those when it basically it's just like you're breathing through a smaller hole and they're different size.
Yeah.
Like that's not that expensive. So there, yeah, I love that you're talking about that. There's other options that we can do.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, cool. And then, yeah, some red light because you're working with a company on that too. So we'll
Yep.
hit on lymphatic system. Flowpresso, by the way, to give you a visual, it kind of looks like a giant, like a Normatec. Sorry if that, I don't know what the tech difference is, and you'll tell us.
Yeah. No,
That's
it's
basically the idea of what it is. Okay. It's like
yeah,
a
they both
compression
use air
suit.
compression.
Right.
Very different design and application and science, and one's
Oh,
a class 2 medical device,
right.
but you
Right.
get the idea.
Just
People
so
see
people can
those and they're like, oh,
visualize.
what's the compare?
Right.
But it's great, right? It's great.
Right.
Your
Yeah.
lymphatic I'll tease people with this. The only place your lymphatic system can take all this fluid and let it go from the body, it ties back into your circulatory system at the left and right subclavian, right here at the
Mm,
base of your collarbone. That's the only
mm,
spot. So wearing
mm,
compression sleeves and pushing fluid into your belly doesn't
mm.
do anything for drainage. Can't
Okay.
do, there's no
Right.
drainage, right? It's
Mm,
good for moving lactic acid and fluid from the legs and pressure and massage. That's
mhm,
great.
mhm, mhm,
But in no way does it do full body lymphatic drainage. So we got to
mhm.
think about all the major lymph node centers. And we
That's
got
cool.
300 lymph nodes in the face, head, and neck, only 6 to 800 in the body. So what are we doing up here to do drainage?
Mhm,
That's the other piece.
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
and
mhm.
it's a complete system. So we can't skip spots.
Cool. I can't wait to get deeper into that. All right.
Yeah.
So, yes, we're going to get super biohackery. Thank you so much, Freddie, for taking the time and for sharing your
Yeah.
story. And can't wait for part two to hear all of the cool things you've been diving into for all these
Yeah.
years. So, thank you.
I can't wait to have you on. Well,
Yeah. Thanks.
I'll let
Oh,
you
yeah.
move.
Real quick before we let people go, the Beautifully Broken podcast, right?
The
Is the name
Beautifully
of it?
Broken podcast. Website's
Um,
beautifully broken.world. Instagram's Freddie Kimmel, Freddie.Kimmel.
okay. It's one
Yeah.
L, guys. Just, it's like
Yep. 1L. Yep.
Jimmy.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah. So what did you say? Beautifullybroken.world is your website.
That's the website. Yep.
Okay.
That's
All
like the
right. Cool.
store and blogs and articles, all the episodes. We're 200, we'll probably be 250 episodes by the time this comes out, but
Okay, cool. Yeah,
cruising
I'll be
along.
going on there soon and we'll have Jimmy on.
Yes.
So, Jimmy,
I
thank you
cannot
so
wait. I
much.
cannot wait. Long overdue.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Inside Out Health Podcast. I hope it's been helpful to you in your journey. If you think that it might be helpful to someone you know, please share it with them. Please share on social media. It really helps me grow the show and reach more people with these amazing messages. And if you could be so kind as to rate the show and possibly even leave me a review, that really helps. So much thanks in advance if you do that. And yeah, please subscribe if you want to hear more of this type of content. I have lots of amazing expert guests on the way. All right. Thank you.